Louisiana Bayou, this is a loading dock, I think. I was commissioned to do 3 pieces by Jay Bryan, who owns Bryan Chevrolet in New Orleans. He also owns the gallery, Octavia Gallery, where I show my work there. And I was staying with him one night, and he said, "No, why don't you go out tomorrow into the bayou and do some pieces of that for me?" Because I told him I wanted to buy a car, a used car, because I needed a van. I had just wrecked my other one. I went to sleep at the wheel and totaled the whole thing. I came out alive, but I needed a car. And he said, you picked out the car that you want, so go and do a few watercolors for me and frame them up, and we'll do a trade. I said, super. So I think I went driving in the boat with his right-arm man and took photographs, and sometimes would stop and paint a little bit and then drive on. And for 2 or 3 days I was doing that and pulling things out of the water that I could use in the frame because it would make it more authentic. And one of my rules that I've kept to myself is don't glue anything into a piece unless you can draw it and paint it. You've got to be able to draw it and paint it first before you can cheat and glue it and say that's part of the work. It was just one of the things that I had, one of the exams that I set for myself. That way you learn how to paint different textures. So this was a frame built from wood and rust objects in here, and wood floating, and there's some what are those things that stick onto under the water? Barnacles. A lot of barnacles there. And I did maybe 15 pieces, because when somebody says to an artist, "We'll commission a piece," you know, a minimalist would do 1. I would do 15 and say, "Take your pick of 3." So I did the 15 pieces. He chose his 3, and I drove off in my Town and Country Chrysler, which had nothing to do with Bryan Chevrolet. And he said, "Why didn't you choose an SUV?" I said, "Because they're big on the outside and small on the inside, and I need a car big on the inside, small on the outside." Go back to the drawing board. So that's this piece, Louisiana Bayou.